I stood at the entrance of my old high school, the walls painted in memories, and felt a wave of reluctance wash over me. It was the night of the reunion, and the familiar scent of old vinyl and freshly polished linoleum filled the air, transporting me back to the days when I was the quiet kid who avoided the spotlight. Just another unremarkable guy, blending into the background of bustling cliques and echoing laughter. Who was I kidding? I half expected to be dismissed again like I was back then. As I stepped inside, laughter bubbled up like fizz, and my heart raced in sync. A crowd had formed around the refreshments table, old faces now accentuated by years of experience and laughter lines. "Look who it is, the Invisible Man," one voice called out, a jab that stung more than I had anticipated. I forced a smile, pretending it didn't matter. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of something extraordinary. A tall figure, clad in a crisp navy blue blazer, stepped up to the mic. My pulse quickened as I recognized him, Jake Harrison, the guy we all thought was destined for greatness. Rumors circulated like wildfire. He was a Navy SEAL now. My curiosity piqued. I felt a mixture of apprehension and intrigue wash over me. "Good evening, everyone," Jake's voice echoed, rich and steady, capturing our attention instantly. He wasn't just a former classmate anymore. He was a force to be reckoned with. "I'm not here to talk about glory, nor am I here to seek validation. I'm here to share a piece of my life, one that you may find unexpected." He paused, scanning the crowd, and I could see our classmates lean in, their expressions shifting from amusement to intrigue. You see, I've faced perilous situations in war, but none have compared to the battles we fight within ourselves. The room hushed, and I could feel the weight of his words drawing everyone closer. What could possibly connect the bravest among us to our high school lives? I listened intently as he began recounting a story of survival during a mission gone wrong. The tension in the air thickened as he described the sound of gunfire and the acrid smell of gunpowder, painting vivid images that left us hanging on every word. I could see my classmates, who once scoffed at me, now hanging on Jake's every story, captivated by his vulnerability. But then, just as I thought I was beginning to understand him, the room turned electric when he revealed, "There's a secret I've held for years." And at that moment, my heart dropped. Could this secret somehow connect to my own past? What could possibly unfold next? Before we dive deeper into Jake's shocking revelation, a quick alert for you who follow our stories. YouTube has been removing subscriptions lately, so check if you're still subscribed and leave your like to support the channel. Now, back to the crucial moment. "I'll never forget the day everything changed for me," Jake continued, his voice steady yet laced with emotion. "It started on a typical morning. I was fresh out of high school, ready to face the world. But life, as it often does, threw me a curveball. I could almost see the wheels turning in his mind, reliving those pivotal moments. My best friend, someone I considered a brother, was the first to enlist. There was something magnetic, inspiring about his decision. It lit a fire in me, pushing me to join him. He paused, letting the weight of his words linger. My classmates exchanged glances, now united in their collective interest, drawn closer to this unexpected journey he was tracing. The truth is, behind the valor and the medals we chase, a different story often lies within. He looked around the room, locking eyes with us, and it made my heart race. After months of grueling training and preparation, I stood in the heat of the battlefield. In those moments, I learned the harshest realities. He took a deep breath, and for a fleeting second I saw a flicker of vulnerability cross his face. You see, survival isn't merely about being the strongest or the bravest. It's about grappling with fear and loneliness, even amidst comrades. There were nights I lay awake, haunted by memories of who I was before combat became my life. The room fell even quieter, alive with the electricity of his words. Then came the twist that sent a shiver down my spine. "What if I told you that the darkest days weren't on the battlefield?" he asked, his voice low. "My real fight started when I returned home." I felt a knot form in my stomach. I wasn't prepared for this. Could he be hinting at the struggles I had faced when resurfacing to normal life after uncertainty? My brother, the one who enlisted with me. He didn't make it back. His voice cracked, and I could see the pain etched deeply in his features. His absence felt like a weight dragging me down. I didn't know how to cope, how to understand this loss. That's when I decided to bury my feelings, pushing away anyone who tried to reach me. As Jake spoke, I felt the memories of my own high school struggles ignite in me. The fear of being alone mirrored his sentiment. Was he hinting at some connection between us? My thoughts raced as I awaited the revelation, the moment that would intertwine our paths more than I ever imagined. But how far would Jake take us before unveiling that shared secret? I was on the edge of my seat. Stick around, because the unraveling of our stories is just getting started. Before we continue, take a moment to check if you're still subscribed, and keep that like button warm for more. And now, let's dive back in. Mo, I had to learn how to navigate a world without him, Jake continued, his gaze turning distant, lost in memories that were palpable to the rest of us. The weight of grief clung to me like a heavy cloak, sucking the joy from every moment. I learned how easy it was to retreat into silence, to allow my demons to overwhelm me. The vulnerability in his words wrapped around the room, knitting us together as an audience, a collective witness to his journey. During the hardest nights of recovery, I stumbled upon a piece of wisdom I'd overlooked during my training. It's okay to be broken. It's okay to seek help, he revealed, glancing towards the back of the room, where some familiar faces now appeared somber and contemplative. I avoided therapy for the longest time, terrified that admitting my pain would label me weak, that I wouldn't be worthy of respect or even love. It struck me then how universal his struggles were, how they echoed far beyond the walls of our gathering. Memories of my own insecurities crept back, times I held back tears, afraid of what others would think. My chest tightened as I considered how often we all wear armor to shield ourselves from the world's judgments. I found solace in unexpected places, Jake continued, his voice carrying the weight of every word. Support groups, shared stories of loss and hope, they became my lifeline. I learned that real strength lies in revealing who we are underneath the surface. As he spoke, I felt a sharp pang of recognition. Did we all come to this reunion carrying our scars, hidden beneath smiles? The tension in the air shifted subtly. Cameras and cell phones emerged, capturing every moment of this awakening. And then, Jake continued, his voice steady, there's the moment everything changes. The moment I had to take responsibility for my life again. One, my own heartbeat quickened, anticipation threading through the air. It took a long time for me to find that balance between honoring my brother's memory and allowing myself to grow. Because sometimes, in honoring those we've lost, we have to let go of the guilt of living, because it really is what they would want. His words hit hard, shattering the remaining barriers. The murmurs around the room faded, replaced by silence filled with understanding. He took a deep breath, as if to prepare us for what was next. And that's where this reunion ties back to my story, and perhaps yours as well. I leaned forward, pulse quickening, as he prepared to make the connection. Years later, I discovered that when I opened up, I wasn't just freeing myself. I was inviting others to share their battles. It was during one of those sessions that I learned about a classmate who had struggled with a similar sense of isolation after high school. Oh, a name I never expected to hear. My heart raced as I clung to every word. What name could he possibly unveil? The suspense filled the air like an electric current, binding us all together on this journey. Before I could process it fully, Jake's voice rippled through the newfound tension in the room. Someone who fought their own war, invisible yet right beside me. The weight of his revelation landed softly yet firmly, and the depth of this connection sparkled with a promise of revelation. Suddenly, everything felt interconnected, as though years of silence had led us back to this moment. What would be revealed next? Who could he be talking about? Don't go anywhere just yet. We're just about to uncover the connections that tie us all together, bringing forth secrets that might just change everything. If you're enjoying the unfolding drama, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for what's to come. And now, let's dive even deeper into Jake's captivating tale. I stood at the heart of a moment that felt surreal. My surroundings dimmed, the air electric with intrigue. Jake's presence at the mic was magnetic, drawing every ounce of attention like a magnet draws metal. "The classmate I refer to," he began, taking a deliberate pause, "is someone I've thought about often." My breath caught in my throat. Who could it be? The world around us faded away as Jake continued. This individual faced battles within themselves, transcending the struggle I had with grief and loss. His voice softened, brimming with raw emotion. I spent years contemplating how to bridge the gap between my dark days and the shining memories of my friend. One day, during a support group discussion, I was brought back to our school days. Everyone shifted, curiosity bouncing between us like a ball. The air felt tense, anticipation cohesive. I heard stories from many, but one struck me deeply. A life story often overlooked. His gaze swept the room, and I could feel my heart racing. Who was this mysterious classmate? Who had experienced life in a way that resonated with Jake, intertwined yet hidden from my vision? "It was about a fellow student," Jake finally pronounced, pausing once more, letting the suspense dangle like a thread. My mind raced through faces, recalling every smile, frown, and moment we'd shared. They were dealing with their own emotional battles, feeling unheard and invisible. Just like I did. I gripped the edge of the nearest table, tension coiling in the air around me. This was a mirror reflecting back the struggles we each faced during high school. I thought of the days I let doubt and fear loom larger than life, feeling an overwhelming sense of isolation. But who was he speaking of? I raked through every memory, digging through the avalanche of faces. "You see, this classmate," Jake continued, his tone solidifying with conviction, "might have felt they were alone in their fight. But the truth is, we've all woven a tapestry of unspoken pain, bonding us in unexpected ways. To step forward, to reveal your battles, can bring not just healing to yourself, but to those around you." At that moment, I caught a glimpse of his past. A ghost echoed in his eyes, hinting at connections I had yet to fathom. "This reunion isn't merely a gathering of faces from years ago," he said, delivering each word like a poignant reminder. "It's a chance to understand the struggles that bind us." The crowd around me began to murmur, wanting to connect, wanting to be part of this emotional whirlpool he was creating. My classmates were beginning to realize they weren't alone. Maybe we never were. I realized that this narrative chain doesn't establish hierarchies of struggle. Rather, it creates a community, embracing those still standing on the sidelines, afraid to speak up. My heart drummed a furious rhythm against my ribs. I couldn't shake the feeling that a profound revelation was just around the corner. A connection waiting to unravel itself like an intricately woven secret. The name I discovered in that circle of shared stories. Jake continued, eyes wide as if daring anyone to interrupt, is something that might resonate deeply within this very room. a collective breath held tight as he dropped the next line. It was you. He pointed toward me. My heart stalled, and the world ceased to exist outside of that focus. Confusion swept over my classmates in a wave of whispers. "What?" I managed. My voice shot through with disbelief. "Yes, you. Remember the times we passed each other in the hall, the brief shared glances? It seems like ages ago, but those fragments mark something deeper. I've watched you navigate your path, and though we didn't speak much then, I could sense we shared the same forest of insecurity. I felt like I was thrust into a spotlight, the intense gaze of my peers now anchored on me like a heavy weight. Everyone has their battles, their stories, he emphasized, raising his voice to keep the attention wrapped around him and me. And believe it or not, our stories can inspire, heal, and give hope. The room buzzed with palpable energy, transforming into a sea of empathy. Each gaze I met reflected vulnerability, a craving for openness. Jake took a step closer, his expression softening. "I am here today not just to speak my truth, but to remind you all that your truth is valuable as well." I recalled nights spent wrestling with self-doubt, times I tucked my loneliness deep inside, convinced no one would understand. It felt great to find camaraderie amongst old faces. "We often forget," Jake said, "that every single one of us has a story worthy of sharing, a beat in our narrative that connects to someone else's." I thought I was the only one who faced demons, but getting into that group opened my eyes. Stirring emotions rippled through me. I realized that our experiences, though hidden, had the power to collide, to create bridges of understanding in this shared journey called life. "So please, don't let this moment slip away," Jake urged. "Look around, embrace the voices you haven't heard yet, form new connections. We are survivors together." The warmth in his delivery ignited the room, unraveling layers of tension that had lingered. As his words settled, I could sense that urge within others, an eagerness for connection, a hunger for stories buried in silence. I raised my hand hesitantly, feeling the pulse of the group swell with anticipation. I think I can relate," I stammered, a mix of fear and exhilaration running through me. "I felt invisible in high school too," I confessed, embodying every ounce of my past. Always searching for a sense of belonging, never sure if I really fit in. "I've struggled as well, living with insecurities and fears that often silenced my voice. Hearing you, realizing we're not alone, it's so powerful." A ripple of nodding heads echoed through the crowd. In that surrendering moment, my heart felt lighter, as if a weight began to lift that had long refused to budge. And sometimes, all it takes is one brave person to share their truth for others to feel brave enough to share their own, I added, as Jake's glimmering eyes cast brightly over me. "I want everyone here tonight to know that their stories are just as important." Jake stepped back, eyes filled with gratitude. "That's it," he exclaimed. "True beginnings stem from shared vulnerability. We are not spectators in one another's lives. Imagine how healing that can be." A glow of excitement filled the room, breaking free from the chains of doubt we had been bound to. It was about to get even deeper, and I sensed a shift, a collective urge to voice our truths. I felt a growing eagerness in my chest, fueling a deep desire to open up entirely. What would this lead to? "I can't wait to hear all your stories," I said, my voice fervent. "Let's continue this journey beyond these walls. Forge bonds and create narratives that uplift one another." As Jake smiled warmly at me, an unspoken pact formed in the atmosphere. Before we set out onto this new path, there's still one last chapter waiting to be unfurled, one last unraveling of secrets we each hold dear. So don't go anywhere, dear friends. The final piece, the culmination of our stories, approaches. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where the threads tied together will lead us to a place none of us expected. If you're ready to explore what lies ahead, make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button to keep the momentum. The journey has just begun. The room buzzed with a newfound energy, a tapestry of stories beginning to weave together right in front of me. Jake, our former classmate turned Navy SEAL, stood at the forefront of this revelation, and I felt the momentum shift as we all took a deep breath together. Tonight is more than just a reunion, Jake continued, his voice firm and steady. It's a recognition of our shared experiences, each of us carrying burdens heavier than we know. In sharing, we don't just lighten our load, we empower one another. I could see it in their eyes. My classmates, those once familiar faces now filled with warmth and understanding. They were no longer judgmental echoes of my past, but rather partners in this newfound journey. I had shared my truth, and in return, something miraculous was taking shape. As Jake glanced around the room, his gaze landed on me once again, igniting the flame of courage burning within me. How about we all take a moment to chat? No judgments, just listening. His suggestion was met with a wave of murmurs, excitement coursing through the crowd as they collectively nodded, eager to hear one another. I couldn't help but smile, recognizing that this moment marked a pivotal turn. People began to break off into small groups, the sound of shared laughter and hushed voices infusing the room with warmth. It was a dance of empathy unfolding, something I had never thought possible at this gathering. In that instant, I glanced over at Jake. "Thank you," I said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. "You did what I thought would never happen tonight. You opened my eyes." He chuckled softly, a flicker of humility brushing across his features. "We all have stories waiting to be told. You were always part of this community. You merely needed a nudge to realize it." I felt a swell of gratitude, a true bond forming in the warmth of vulnerability we had all embraced. Suddenly, someone from across the room, a woman I hadn't recognized at first, stepped forward. "Can I share something?" Her voice trembled slightly, but there was a determination in her eyes. Without waiting for a response, she continued. "In high school, I was always the quiet one. I felt lost, like I didn't exist. But tonight, hearing you all, I realize that I'm not alone. My struggles matter." Her courage set off a chain reaction, their voices cascading like a waterfall. One by one, others began to share their stories. The athlete revealing insecurities hidden behind trophies, the class clown admitting to feeling invisible, the brainiac confessing fears of never being seen. It was a beautiful symphony of honesty, vibrating through the room like music. With every shared story, the atmosphere shifted more toward healing and acceptance. I felt words swirling in my own heart, buried beneath years of silence, begging for release. Perhaps this was my moment too. "Can I?" I spoke up, the words spilling out like a long-held secret. "I've spent so long feeling unremarkable, caught in the shadows. But I realize now that those shadows do not define me. We have all been seen tonight under the weight of our truths. It's time we reclaim our stories, all together." The room erupted in immediate support, laughter and cheers bubbling above the collective vulnerability. I felt seen and heard in ways I had long yearned for. As I scanned the faces around me, I realized how far we had come since the night began. Our lives had intertwined, forged by shared struggles and deep-rooted experiences we could each relate to. Together, we were resilient, and this gathering had transformed from a simple reunion into a powerful moment of renewal. And in the midst of it all, Jake stood resilient, quietly proud, a reminder that vulnerability breeds not just understanding, but community. This isn't just an end, Jake proclaimed, "but a beautiful beginning. Let's keep sharing, learning, and growing together." As laughter, stories, and discussions filled the air, I could feel my heart swell, resonating with hope. The weight I had carried for so many years felt lighter, an echo fading into the background. At that moment, as the night wore on and connections blossomed around me, I found myself at a crossroad. The choices we make shape our paths, and I chose to embrace the promise of new beginnings. As our gathering progressed into late evening, I realized I wanted more than a simple reminder of high school. I wanted to forge deeper connections to ensure we would not let our stories fade away. I looked toward the camera, a reminder for everyone watching from home. If you're enjoying our journey of healing and connection, please hit that like button and subscribe. Let's be part of a community that thrives on shared stories. You never know who needs to hear your truth or inspiration. As the night continued, laughter tangled with whispers of shared experiences. I felt invigorated, knowing that tonight was just the beginning. New friendships would bloom, connections would deepen, and stories, once hidden, would be shared freely. This reunion had transformed into a circle of understanding, a haven for the once overlooked voices we all carried. And as we stood together, I knew we were all a part of something larger, a tapestry woven with resilience, strength, and the undeniable magic of human connection.